Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We're here for the next couple of hours. Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxnard will be with us in 45 minutes. And in hour number 2, Denton Day. We'll jump along to talk all things national college football. Had a coach firing down there in Gainesville. So we'll get the latest from Denton as well at 90 minutes from right now. Lots and lots to cover. Saints get beat up in Chicago, and certainly LSU comes up short in Nashville. That's where we'll start with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Well, I spent last week telling you about how Vanderbilt statistics were fraudulent, doing it against terrible teams. This is not a terrible defense they were facing, and I thought LSU would go up there and handle business. I was wrong. Not going to be the last time. Certainly was not the first, but I was dead wrong. Because when you look at this Vanderbilt football team and you look at what Clark Lee is trying to get accomplished with this group of players and this roster, they executed their game plan to their strengths to a T, and LSU could not do anything about it. That's what you saw. You saw a team that entered the game leading the country in yards per carry. I said, not so fast, not against these guys. Well, they ran for 239 yards, and there was only one sizable run of 43 yards. It was just consistently 3, 4, 8 yards a pop. Exactly what I told you they were trying to do last week. And they did it whenever they wanted to. They owned third down early in the game. Owned it. They were second in the country entering the game. They absolutely dominated in terms of time of possession. They kept the football away from LSU two-thirds of the game. They had the ball for 36 and a half minutes to LSU's 23 and a half. They won time of possession by 13 minutes. That allowed them to run significantly more plays than LSU, 67 to 49. And they just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. And LSU was unable at any point to force Vanderbilt to do anything they were uncomfortable with. Diego Pavia was in complete control. LSU did a horrendous job of trying to keep him corralled in the pocket. Their angles were terrible. Their pursuit was bad. The discipline was not there. And Vanderbilt's discipline was wonderful. They were always in the right spot. They only once had a penalty that really hurt them. The second to last drive, they got a holding call that backed them up, and LSU finally got the first punt of Vanderbilt's day because of it. But it was just everything Vanderbilt was trying to execute, they did. And everything that LSU was trying to do to stop Vanderbilt, they couldn't get accomplished. I was surprised. And I think there is an element to not having Whit Weeks, to not having Gabe Relaford, to not having Jamari Butler, to not having Bernard Gooden. Like that's, there's something to that. Not this bad. This is just getting your butt kicked. That's all this was. Getting your tail whipped by Vanderbilt. Yeah, better Vanderbilt team than years past. Absolutely. No doubt. But not a team that should completely dictate the terms to you for 4 quarters. Completely. And that's what you saw in the game on Saturday. It was disheartening. It was disappointing. And it was thorough. There was nothing fluky about it. I told you after LSU beat Clemson in week 1, I'd go play that game 10 more times and wouldn't feel bad about it at all. I think LSU would control the game. I would not go play that game 10 more times. I think LSU can beat Vanderbilt. I think what Vanderbilt was doing on Saturday is replicable, and I think there's a good chance they would do it again if LSU and Vanderbilt played again next Saturday. That is very disheartening because it was just right out of the Vanderbilt game plan. They outgained LSU 399 to 325, outrushed LSU 239 to 100. And controlled the game from start to finish. I don't have another way to say that. And the thing that was so frustrating and really, to me, was a microcosm of Brian Kelly's time thus far in Baton Rouge was the lack of complementary football and two sides coming together. And that failed to happen in the fourth quarter when finally LSU got the two stops it had to have and got the ball back to the offense that had been pretty good throughout most of the game to go get a touchdown, to go tie it or go for two and take the lead. And you, in two possessions, had negative 10 yards of total offense. In two possessions, negative 10 yards. That's what you did. And that is a microcosm of, well, the first year, LSU's offense was pretty good and the defense was okay, but the special teams was a disaster. And then the offense was legendary and the defense was the worst we've ever seen. And then they got the defense up to par and the offensive line play on the other side is awful. They can't get all the holes plugged. That's been a 4-year problem. It boiled down to a fourth quarter problem in this game. Because if you look at LSU offensively, they were functional and fairly efficient through the first 3 quarters of this game. If you look at their drives, they drive down on their first drive and get a field goal. The next drive, 8 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown. The next drive, you went down and kicked a field goal. You missed it, and it was long, but you got into field goal range. The next drive, the defense set you up, and you weren't able to do much, but you did get a field goal out of that 11-yard drive. And then you went 92 yards for a touchdown, thanks to some heroics from Xavier Thomas on your next drive. And then you went down and got a field goal on the next drive. So you had created a scoring opportunity on your first 6 drives. That's reasonably decent football. And one of those field goals at the end should have been a touchdown if your 4th-year tight end doesn't commit a pre-snap penalty because you schemed up an easy touchdown. But you got a guy that commits a penalty before the snap, so it costs you points. Costs you 4 points. But to that point, like, you had gotten 6 straight scoring opportunities offensively. Like, that's pretty good. If I'd have told you that entering the game, you'd have thought, okay, well, they got better and they moved the ball against South Carolina. They moved the ball here. Settled for some field goals. Yes. Is that frustrating? Yes. But they were moving it. And then the defense was a no-show. Vanderbilt, 9 plays, 57 yards, touchdown. 14 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. Then you got the turnover on downs. The defense did come up with a big sack there. But then they go down right before the half when they have no time, and they go 50 yards and get a field goal, and then 10 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 10 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. So while your offense was functioning, that's good. The defense no-shows. Then the defense shows up, and the offense goes into a complete reverse. Negative 10 yards on 2 drives. This has been the problem for LSU for 4 years now. They cannot get everything moving in the right direction, and they didn't on Saturday. And by the time the defense showed up, the offense was out of bullets. And so what you got is a 31-24 loss that really didn't feel that close. It was. You had the ball twice with a chance to go tie it, but it didn't feel that close. And Vanderbilt scored 31 points in this game and slid at the 1-yard line to finish things. Not too big a stretch to suggest that Vanderbilt probably should have scored 38 points in this game. We'll talk about that in the next segment. But this is a disheartening, disappointing loss, and one that you can't explain away by flukes. This is an analogy that I used in the postgame, and I've told you this many times. Like, sometimes my Monday shows sound different than my 28 minutes after the game ends show. You have 2 sleeps, and sometimes emotions cool off, and shows are different, whether it's positive or negative. I still feel exactly the same way I did on Saturday afternoon. Like, and I'll use other sports to bring this analogy together. Like, if you're playing a team in basketball is really physical and really tough and a great defensive team, and they throw in 16 threes on you, like, you're not going to win that game. It's frustrating, but, like, you can't have predicted that. If you're playing a baseball team that is a bunch of slap hitters, plays good defense, and they run 3 balls out of the yard on you for 2 3-run homers and a 2-run shot, like, that's not something you could have anticipated, something you could have game planned for, just kind of a fluky thing. But when you get beat like this, when you got on the plane to fly to Nashville, everything Vanderbilt was going to try to accomplish in this game, and they just straight do it to you and dictate that turn, like that is really difficult to swallow. That is the most frustrating way to lose a football game. You get something fluky like those two scenarios and hypotheticals I mentioned, that is disheartening, but it happens. Like, this was just getting your butt kicked. And I don't have another way to say that. The offense showed some signs of life and wilted when you needed it, and the defense just could not figure out how to stop this Vanderbilt offense. And it is pretty stunning because this is the same quarterback and the same coordinator from last year, and you really did a good job against them inside Tiger Stadium. This is the same group that scored 14 points in Tuscaloosa. Yes, the 2 red zone turnovers, but 14 points is 14 points. That's what they scored. And they went up and down the field on you like you weren't even there. That is not something that I figured we'd see when I made my pick on Friday for this game. But hey, I looked really, really foolish, looked really, really dumb, and LSU kind of did too on Saturday in Music City. As Brian Kelly mentioned in his press conference today, like you had half the stadium there. It's not even like you could call that like a road game. Not even a road game. It was more like a bowl game. You had half the stadium. And Vanderbilt just schooled you for 4 quarters in Nashville. Tigers lose 31-24. I want to talk about this defense because that's a concerning thing to watch Vanderbilt do what they did to LSU. What does it mean for this unit moving forward? We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is the website. If you want to get your mind off football, maybe put your focus on golf, you can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. It's a great place to work on your game. You get an individual bay where you can turn that driving range function on the simulator, and you can see the trajectory of your shots. You can see the carry distance of your shots. You can see the ball speed. They've got a great slow motion impact camera that shows where you're impacting the ball on your club face. That was a big help to me when I was at Swing Easy Golf Club to see when I hit those big snap hooks that I'm catching the ball on the heel of the club. Stand a little bit further away from it, just focus on maybe doing that. And it's something that you wouldn't get just from hitting balls on the driving range. You don't have to worry about scuffed up golf balls. You don't have to worry about the rain or the heat or the early darkness. You don't have to worry about whether or not there's grass on the driving range. This is a great place to work on your game. It's on Segan at Perkins. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, online at swingeasygcbr.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hope that work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Not a good football weekend in South Louisiana. Saints get beat up in Chicago for Spencer Rattler turnovers in that one. We'll talk about it next. LSU, of course, gets beaten as well at Vanderbilt. And there's something that I want to open the door to here. I'm not 100% confident in this, but it's worth a discussion. This LSU defense has been really, really highly praised by yours truly, media down here, a lot of folks nationally, since the middle of August. We told you they were dominating in camp. I told you they were going to go up to Clemson and play great, and they did. And they got 5 interceptions against Florida, held them to 10 points, and they put a lasso around Lenora Sellers and held them to 10 points, and that's all good. But let me just point something out. Again, I'm not trying to declaratively state something here, but I'm just going to shed some light. South Carolina is 129th in the country in total offense. They're missing 3 offensive linemen. They don't have any game changers at wide receiver or tight end. Their quarterback's a one-man show, and he's got no help. They're 129th in total offense. Louisiana Tech is 124th in total offense. Florida is 92nd in the country in total offense. Just fired their coach. Clemson is 62nd in the country in total offense. None of those teams are in the top 60. Now, you were great against them. You held Clemson to 261 yards, held Louisiana Tech to 154 total yards. You turned Florida over 5 times. They only scored 10 points. South Carolina had 317 yards and 10 points. You were great against them. But you've only played 2 teams in the top 60 in offense. Ole Miss is 8th and Vanderbilt is 25th. What did Ole Miss do? Well, Ole Miss had 480 yards of total offense and scored 24 points with you getting a turnover at the 4-yard line. Like, if you watch that game, they went up and down the field. And after that game, I'm pointing to me, I said, well, the offense didn't help them. Like, they did a decent job. The offense was never able to sustain anything. So you're on the field for 80-plus plays. Yeah, you're going to give up a lot of points. And I still believe that to an extent. But then you go play a second team that's in the top 25 in the country in total offense, and Vanderbilt goes for 400 yards and really should have scored 38 points. Do we need to start questioning whether or not this is a great defense? I can ask the question. I don't know the answer. I want to be clear. I'm not getting on here and going, this defense is not very good, y'all. And I do, absolutely. I mentioned it in the first segment. I'm aware that Whit Weeks didn't play. I'm aware that Gabe Relaford and Jamari Butler didn't play it in. I'm aware that your best defensive tackle wasn't out there. I got all that. That matters. I know that there's a football mentality, hey, next man up, and I know that I sat here, again, I sat here and said in August, they can withstand some injuries. They've built amazing depth. But when you start to pick away at 5 starters out of the 11-man unit, it starts to add up. And I believe that LSU has a good defense. But I'm not as convicted in that statement as I sit here today as I was when I left this chair on Friday. Because you have only played 2 offenses with a pulse, and they have moved the ball up and down the field for a lot of those 2 games. And you've lost both. So I just think it's worth giving some discussion to. It's a talk show. We got a long way before LSU plays Texas A&M in 5 days. And I just feel like, having watched Vanderbilt and watched Ole Miss, you watched 2 offenses that really felt like they were in control of those games against LSU's defense. There are some really good pieces to the defense. Mansour Delane is the best player on the team. He is an elite cover man. Vanderbilt did not go at him. He only had 2 targets. Neither were caught. He's great. A.J. Halsey is flying all over the field. That guy can really play. He's a really good safety. But I also watched Diego Pavia drop back, and I don't see a lot of pass rush. And then, when you did get home on some blitzes, you couldn't get him on the ground. And Brian Kelly mentioned that multiple times in his press conference earlier today. But to me, I think you went to the transfer portal to go get some guys to rush the passer, and I don't see LSU winning off the edge ever. And I look at the sack numbers, and I'm looking at a group that doesn't have a single player other than Harold Perkins, and then some garbage time sacks from Damian Shanklin against Louisiana Tech that has multiple sacks. I'm looking at the edge, and I'm seeing Patrick Payton, 1 sack on the season. I'm looking at Jack Pyburn, 1.5 sacks. Dylan Carpenter's got 1 sack. I'm looking at Ahmad Bro, no sacks. Looking at guys that are on the field a lot. These aren't little used players. And you don't have anybody that's got like 5 or 6 sacks. That's a problem. I'm looking at a defensive front that had a hard time stopping Vanderbilt from getting 5 and 6 yards a pop on the ground. I just don't think that's all Whit Weeks. Now, there's Gooden as well, but like, you had Jacobian Guillory out there. You had Dominic McKinley out there. You had Ahmad Bro out there. You had Patrick Payton out there. You had Jack Pyburn out there. You had Devon Keys, West Weeks. Like, I didn't name a single freshman in that group that was like thrust into action. Like Buddy Mathis is having to play, yeah. But he's 4th on the depth chart at defensive tackle right now with Gooden out. You've got guys that you spent a lot of money on, guys that have been playing a lot, and I just don't see a dominant effort on Saturday. So the question is like, okay, well, what's your take here? Like, what are you trying to say? And I think what I'm trying to say is that this unit is good enough to overwhelm bad offenses. And guess what? Texas A&M, not a bad offense. Alabama, not a bad offense. Arkansas, not a bad offense. Oklahoma, not a bad offense. I can't tell you what Western Kentucky's got. I can look it up, but I don't care because that game doesn't matter. But if you look at what's left on this schedule, Arkansas is 4th in the country in total offense. You play them. Texas A&M is 17th in the country in total offense. You play them. Alabama's 43rd. You play them. These are all in the conversation with Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and are not in the conversation with South Carolina and Florida. So the backbone of your team, I know everybody wants to talk about offense, and we're going to talk about offense. Trust me. We're going to talk about it. Got a 2-hour show here. But the backbone of this team is the defense, and I thought it was put in an unfair position against Ole Miss and was okay, was not put in an unfair position against Vanderbilt. You were out there, your offense was scoring some points, and you couldn't get stops. I don't know how else to explain that. I gave you the drives chart in the first segment. Touchdown, touchdown, turnover on downs, field goal right before the half that maybe could have been a touchdown, touchdown. That's the first 6 drives of the game. 4 touchdowns, a field goal that was forced by the clock, not the defense, and a turnover on downs. That's just not good enough. And I felt, I'm pointing at myself here, I felt this defense was championship level good. If I sat here right now and told you that, I think I'd be lying to you. I think it's good. I think it will get healthier. I think they can win games with this defense. I think they were propped up a little bit by just atrocious offensive play that they played in some of these games. I don't think I can sit here. I mean, I picked Vanderbilt to score, I think, 14 points in this game. They should have scored 38. I just completely whiffed on that. And you look at Texas A&M, like LSU's not holding Texas A&M to 13, 17 points. They're not holding Arkansas to that. Arkansas is a bad team. It's a good offense. They can't stop anybody at all. But they move the ball on everybody. They just don't ever win. Bama's got a really good passing game. Jam Miller's healthy. He looks good. And look, John Mateer in Oklahoma played a little bit better offensively at South Carolina over the weekend. So the defense has got to get healthier, and they got to play a lot better. We're going to get to offense. Brian Kelly talked about the tackle position. He talked about offensive execution in the red zone. There were a lot of things that came up at the press conference today, but I wanted to bring up the defense because right now I've got my concerns. And I was really confident in this group 72 hours ago. I just don't. That didn't carry over. That was a stunning performance for me to sit there and watch on Saturday. Stunning. I don't know how you felt about it, but it was stunning to me. All right, let's look at LSU's defense. We will step aside. When we come back, let's talk about the Saints. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. We live in a delivery society. You want a burger? Get it DoorDashed. You want toiletries? You get them sent to your house. You want a car? You get that sent to your house too. You can test drive it and have it delivered to you when you purchase it. Never set foot on the lot. I know a lot of folks don't love the experience of going to a car lot. I get that. Genesis of Baton Rouge would love to have you, and they'll treat you wonderfully when you do go. But if you don't want to, they can come to you. They can give you that test drive from work or at the house. And if you decide that's the car you want to get into, then they can have it delivered to you. E-contracts, you never set foot on the lot. It's all about convenience for Genesis. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find that entire inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
Man, age is just a number.
Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Reminder, as always, go check out our stuff at louisianasports.net. All your Saints coverage is there. All your LSU coverage is there. I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser yesterday, so I went out and watched the LSU baseball team practice a little bit. Saw some good stuff. So if you'd like to get your mind off of football a little bit, but still want your sports fix, go to louisianasports.net. Got a baseball recap from yesterday that is posted there for free. You can check out what I saw, including William Schmidt got to start yesterday. So I may talk a little bit about that as the week progresses, but not today. Today we gotta stick to football. It's just like it's really hard to have fun talking about LSU getting dominated by Vanderbilt and the Saints playing the way they did on Sunday. But we'll transition over to the black and gold. Man, a lot of talk over the week about revenge spot, and I use air quotes for Saints against Dennis Allen, for Kendre Miller. That didn't work out too well. Dennis Allen and his team were pitching a shutout late into the second quarter. Turned the Saints over 4 times, held them to 14 points, and Kendre Miller tore his ACL. So not exactly a great revenge spot for New Orleans. I think it starts for me very, very obviously with the Saints' complete inability to stop the run at all. At all. The Bears ran it 40 times for 222 yards on 5.6 yards per carry, pair of touchdowns. It just felt like time after time after time, Caleb Williams would hand the ball off, and DeAndre Smith and Kyle Monungai were getting 8 yards down the field before anybody even provided any resistance. Like, I feel like in the NFL, it's fairly rare for a running back to just get a head start moving down the field. Like, the guys at the point of attack in the NFL are pretty good at being where they're supposed to be and slowing down the run game. You just don't see teams run for 222 very often. So it was jarring to sit there and keep watching it. And the Bears kept running it and kept running it and kept running it, and the Saints just had no answer. And that's where ultimately this game was lost. Yes, Spencer Rattler turned the ball over 4 times. We can talk about that. The fumble was just careless. He's moving in the pocket, stepping up. You got to get another hand on the football. You can't be waving it out there. They're going to knock that loose every time. Then you have the 3 interceptions. The one on 4th down, who cares? There was nothing open. The Bears were in position there, and the ball got tipped, an interception, whatever. I thought the deep ball that he rolled to the left sideline and then just chucked it deep was an uncharacteristic play that we have not seen him make really this year. We've seen him be so safe, so comfortable, so careful, and I have challenged him to throw the ball down the field. He threw a great ball to Olave, and the touchdown to Olave was a beautiful throw. But this just felt a little bit forced with Shaheed down there to just wing it down there. And then the first pick was a really nice play by the Bears defensive back to undercut it. But this was Spencer Rattler's worst effort of the year. His QBR by ESPN was 30.5. His quarterback rating was 66.3. Again, I thought the touchdown throw to Olave, the one right before the half, was just gorgeous. But the turnovers are just a killer. But you're not helping him at all when you run the ball 17 times for 44 yards. The Saints had to get some sort of ground game established, and they couldn't do it. And that put too much pressure on the quarterback, who played a bad football game. You got a shot of, I mean, it looked awful. You're down 20-0. It looks like you're going to get run right off the field. And then you hit Olave with a deep ball and you score right before the half. And then you get the ball back and you get a touchdown to start the second half. And you've gotten into the game. But the way that the Bears were running it, you just weren't going to have a prayer there. It turned out to be a really devastating day for the New Orleans Saints because you've now lost Eric McCoy for the season with a knee injury. You've lost Kendre Miller for the season with a knee injury. You had been the healthiest team in the NFL entering this game. I read that from Jeff Duncan, and you leave with two really disappointing injuries. Obviously, McCoy is the best offensive lineman you have there at the center spot, and then you felt like you were getting something from Kendre Miller, and so he'll have to miss the rest of the season, and you'll have Devin Neal getting some reps. He had a great pass blocking rep where he decleated a Bear rusher, but only one carry for Neal. As far as the other aspects of this game go, I just didn't think the Saints rushed the passer all that well. You finally got a sack from Chase Young. He and Brian Brzee met at the quarterback, but Williams had some time, and he was able to go to work a little bit. But the running game just carried Chicago, and if you can't stop the run, you're going to lose every time, and the Saints did. On the other side of things, like the Saints tried to go to Taysom Hill to run the ball. You think Dennis Allen's ever seen Taysom Hill in the game? You think he's ever seen that package? I mean, just blew that thing up in the backfield easily. And then the last thing here, and I'll be pretty declarative on this, I'm stunned. It is 1:36 on Monday afternoon. I am stunned that Blake Grupe is still on this football team. Stunned. I mean, I understand if you've got a defensive lineman who is not very good at pass rushing, but he's very good against the run. You can get something out of that. I understand if you've got a wide receiver that's not a deep threat, but he's really good around the sticks. There's an aspect. There are aspects to those positions. There is one aspect to place kicker. Kick it through the uprights, and he sucks at it. He misses a field goal every week. And you might say, well, it's 53 yards. I don't care if it's 53 yards. Everybody makes 53 yarders. Go to Dallas. That guy makes it from the other side of midfield with ease. Now, he may be the best kicker ever, but Grupe misses a field goal every week. Now, this is not a big deal to the Saints organization because Blake Grupe's field goals this year will have no bearing on the Saints' win and loss record in whether or not they make the playoffs. So it's the Saints are far enough away from contending that your current field goal kicker doesn't really matter. But you got to get rid of him. He doesn't make kicks. He has missed 6 field goals. There are countless guys waiting for a tryout. Get Charlie Smith involved. Go sign somebody who's gotten cut. Everybody else does that. Sean Payton did it for a decade and a half. But it can't be Grupe anymore. Again, it's not a big deal because it's a big deal for a playoff team because those are wins and losses that you could be leaving out there. And good teams play a lot of close games that come down to kicks. The Saints aren't good. They don't play a lot of close games. They don't come down to kicks. It doesn't matter. But I've seen enough. Move on. Got to do it. Now, as far as Olave goes, that's the last thing on my note sheet. 5 catches, 98 yards, and the 2 touchdowns, his first multi-touchdown game. Does that change my opinion on whether or not the Saints need to engage in extension talks? Not really. Not really. I still think he's an asset that if you could get something for him, I wouldn't mind at all in the next 2 weeks trading him. If you can negotiate a reasonable price for him with an understanding he is not a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, then I'm okay keeping him around. He's fairly young, and he'd be a solid 2. He'd be a really good 3. He's not a 1. So, as is the case with all of these negotiations, it's a matter of what the price tag is and whether or not you want to pay it. And I have no idea what they're talking about in terms of dollars and cents, so I can't accurately give a take on whether or not it's a quality discussion to have. But Sunday does nothing to me to sway me one way or another. I still think he is a league number 2 who should be paid that way. And if he's paid that way, then I'm okay with it. If he's paid significantly more than that because he's a first-round pick and he's technically your number 1 receiver on this team, no thanks. Not because he had 2 touchdowns against the Bears. The Saints fall to 1-6, 0-3 away from home. I foolishly picked them to win the game back on Friday. That was a bad decision on my part. That will not be happening, I don't think, moving forward very much. But it was just you just got beat by a team that's better than you, by a coach that was hired in your cycle that it looks to have things really rolling there in Chicago, by your former head coach who had something to say in the post game about, hey, you're not good enough for there. That's perfectly fine. I'm happy here. It's hard for me to jump on Dennis Allen for saying that in his own locker room. I know that Saints fans are going to hate him and despise that message. Look, he beat your butt today. He's in his locker room. He can say whatever he wants to his team. I don't have a huge problem with that. It's just if you want to shut him up, you got to go score more than 14 points. And that's kind of where I sit on that. Jordan, you watched the black and gold yesterday. I know you're very excited to talk about it. Wearing your Saints hat proudly today, I see.
The Saints played yesterday?
They did. They were out there. They didn't play well. They didn't win, but they did have a game.
Okay. First, I want to start with this. Groupie kicks in a dome.
Yes,
let's just make sure that's because I saw people yesterday. Oh, man, it's the 15-mile-per-hour winds. Majority of the games are in a dome. We play in a dome, and he misses in a dome. So it doesn't matter if you're inside, outside, he's missing. Why is he employed right now? That's a great question. I don't understand it. Unthinkable, unfathomable. Number 2, you know what? Dennis Allen is just he is like the rock in your sock. Like you play him, Kendrick Miller is down, Eric McCoy goes down. 2 guys that went down when he was your head coach. So it's like whatever you're around Dennis Allen, guys just go down. I don't know what to do. Yeah, cool, Dennis. Talk. Do your talking. You got it. You're right. First of all, you talked about the Taysom Hill play. I'm still deeply scarred by that. Everybody and their mama in the stadium knew that the ball was going to Taysom Hill, but apparently the Saints. I mean, it looked like they had 5 Chicago defenders just blitzed that, like, oh, Taysom's in the game, it's going right to him. You're not fooling anybody. I've lost. Okay, I've lost the war with Dennis Allen. It hurts to. I've
Dennis
lost.
Allen owns you.
Yeah, I'm about to say he owns me. It hurts, especially because at first, well, I'll tell you this. Caleb, the bright side was like, I know 4 turnovers, but Caleb didn't look good. No, they just ran the ball down your throat. Yes. That's a problem in his own right. It wasn't like the Bears or some high flying. Like they just sat there and was like, all right, well, Caleb is struggling. We're just gonna pound you into submission, basically what Vanderbilt did LSU. Like we're gonna run the ball. You can't stop it. Deal with it, and that's what happened. I don't know what the Saints just lack talent.
Yeah, it's a bad team.
We just lack talent. We're a bad team. Like I said, hopefully by 2030, by the time I'm 30 years old, we should be able to have something rolling. But right now, it's bleak. We're down and out. We're 1-6. Rattler, I mean, I get it. It's his first bad game of the season, but sooner or later, you got to see what you have in Shuck.
Yeah, that's tomorrow's segment for me. I want to just talk about this game, but I'm still, as a teaser for tomorrow, I'm still not ready to just completely quit on Rattler. This was inevitable. He was going to have a clunker, and there it was there in Chicago. 20 of 32 for 233, but he had 3 interceptions and a fumble. Plus, he was sacked 4 times. So it was tough go for Spencer Rattler there on the lakefront in Chicago. All right, when we come back, let's talk high ankle sprains as well as Jaden Daniels' injury. We'll do that with Dr. Jeremy Burnham next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1 here on this Monday. Got a word from Brian Kelly earlier today that Tyree Adams is going to miss the game on Saturday against Texas A&M. He didn't give the specifics of the injury, but it feels like high ankle sprain is very likely there for Tyree Adams. We know that Braylon Moore suffered one of those early in the season. It took him a couple weeks to get back. And so LSU going to be without its starting left tackle coming up on Saturday against Texas A&M. Let's talk some injuries. It's time for Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. And for that, we bring on Dr. Jeremy Burnham. Dr. Burnham, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let's talk high ankle sprains. It's something that we hear about all the time, and it's obviously thought of as more severe than your standard ankle sprain. Can you kind of give us the difference in the two?
Yeah, I know Dr. Julie Newman was on here a few weeks ago and really did a great job articulating some of the differences. And just really to simplify it, a lot of times we think about either a high ankle sprain or a low ankle sprain. And most of the time when people have a sprained ankle, we're thinking about a low ankle sprain. A lot of times they don't really have to miss very much time. But whenever we're talking about a high ankle sprain, that's a different situation. Some high ankle sprains are, minimal. You may be out 2 or 3 weeks. Some of them may be 10, 12 weeks, and some of them need surgery. And so there's a big variety. But every time we're evaluating the ankle, one of the things we're trying to do is differentiate between a low ankle sprain and a high ankle sprain.
So bone bruise is another word that came up last week. Obviously, it sounds extremely painful. Is that something that y'all see a good bit of, and what can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah, I think as MRIs and imaging and technology has gotten better, we're starting to see more and more of these things that, maybe you didn't see on an X-ray before, or maybe some of the early MRIs weren't as good as showing it. So now not only can we see the ligaments and the tendons and the cartilage, but we can see the bone. And a lot of times when you have an injury or an impact, you will see some bruising in the bone. Some people think that when we see that bruising, it's actually kind of fracturing on a microscopic scale. And most of the time that's something that'll resolve on its own, but you have to unload the joint a little bit, take some of the weight off of it, and then just give the body time to heal it.
Yeah, rest obviously is a big deal, and LSU could potentially be without a couple of members of that defense moving forward on Saturday as well. Some of the stuff that we've talked about with you as far as preventative measures that y'all are studying and looking into is fascinating, and I know that that the ACL is something that y'all look at a lot yourself personally. What can you tell us that y'all have found recently?
Well, gosh, we talk about ACL injuries a lot. Every week it seems like we're seeing more and more of them. It's really become an epidemic. I've probably shared with you before that female athletes have a 8-time higher risk of ACL tear than male athletes. And with increased year-round sports participation, we're seeing a lot of it. And as you know, when somebody tears their ACL, a lot of times they need surgery for that, and then they may be out of sports 9 to 12 months. And so our goal is to really figure out any way we can to prevent those injuries from happening at all. We've utilized a lot of different technology. We're doing a pretty cool thing now with a group, Nexus, Louisiana, where we are having a competition to see amongst engineering students all around the state, can they help us come up with some technology to help identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. And so we're going to be judging that contest in a couple of weeks. There's a monetary prize associated with that. We've got people involved from all over the state. Really, really excited about that. Our team just got recognized for the Game Changer Award with the Arthritis Foundation for some of the injury prevention research that we're doing. So, look, I think Baton Rouge could be a hub of sports medicine research nationally. We have a lot of great resources here. We have a lot of great sports going on, and so we're doing everything we can to try to make an impact and try to cut back on the injury rate.
That's incredibly cool, and is very, very hopeful that y'all can make some progress there and into seeing who could be potentially at risk. The last thing here, and I don't know how much information, if any, you have on this, but we're watching yesterday, Jaden Daniels went down and left that game. Obviously disappointing, especially considering that Joe Burrow is out for a significant amount of time. It looks like potentially a hamstring deal, and it was a really awkward play if for those that saw it. Did you read anything about that or see anything about what the prognosis may be for him?
Yeah, I've watched that video a few times, and his knee actually was bent quite a bit, and his foot was planted. And, of course, you're always thinking about the ligaments, but specifically also meniscus as well. It seems like from the reports over the last 24 hours, they're saying it's a hamstring injury. A lot of times we think about the hamstring as mostly being in the back of the thigh, but it actually comes down and attaches on both sides of the knee. And so it is possible that he strained the tendon there. I've seen estimates 2 to 3 weeks. I think it just depends on the severity of the injury and what it turns out to be. It was a situation where he didn't have some of his weapons, and I think he was probably trying to do a little bit more on his own, and so put him in a tough situation.
Sure did, and Dallas is scoring a lot, so you're trying to keep up. Hopefully Jaden back sooner rather than later. Dr. Burnham, we appreciate some time. Thanks.
Great talking to you, Hunt. Have a good one.
You too. He is Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner. That is Sports Health, presented by Ochsner, Andrews Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine Institute. I sent out a tongue-in-cheek tweet yesterday, but between Malik goes down, Joe goes down, Jaden goes down, LSU's 5-2 and lost to Vanderbilt. The Saints can't get out of their own way. They're a mess. It's just there aren't great vibes right now, Jordan. I'm disheartened by this football season right now.
I mean, there's no light, and it's like usually there's a light at the end of the tunnel. What is the light at the end of the tunnel?
Baseball season.
You just
stuck. I watched him at the box yesterday. It was great. Saw some home runs. Got Zach York going deep. That was good. William Schmidt up to 98 miles an hour. That was good to see. Baseball season is the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what they tell me.
And that's cool. but we're in October right now. Like we have.
Are the Pelicans the light at the end of the tunnel?
We're trying to keep it positive right now. We're trying to be positive. We don't need no type of negativity.
The vibes stink. Yeah, I'll be honest. I listened to the boys on Off the Bench this morning. The vibes were down. The vibes were down. There's no doubt. Those are two of the happiest dudes I know generally on the radio, and they were just bummed. They were bummed.
You just watched Diego Pavia hit the Heisman on you.
That's tough. When you have Vanderbilt's quarterback hitting the Heisman and the Vanderbilt PA announcer playing Colin Baton Rouge postgame, you're down bad. You're down bad at this point, and that's where LSU sits currently right now. So. It's a tough scene. It really is. And to add on to the toughness of the scene, we now have to talk about my picks against the spread from Friday, which to no one's surprise, were atrocious. I had another awful week. We will break some of that down and talk some SEC football after we pause for national headlines on SportsCenter. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. You can just search Hunt Palmer Show. All of our full shows are there wherever you get your podcasts, also on YouTube as well. We've got our team-specific channels as well, Hunt on LSU, all your LSU content, Hunt on Saints, all your Saints content. So subscribe to those channels. Appreciate y'all for helping those grow the way that they have. It's been awesome. And certainly you can find our stuff on LouisianaSports.net as well. Open the show with 30 straight minutes talking LSU and Vanderbilt. I talked about the LSU's inability to get Vanderbilt out of rhythm. And then I questioned LSU's defense because I feel like it deserves a little bit of questioning at this point. You can catch that on demand. And then we recap the Saints loss at 1:30 before our conversation with Dr. Burnham. Got Denton Day coming up in 35 minutes. And we'll also talk some more LSU. What do they do on the offensive line now with their left tackle out? We'll do that after national headlines. It's the Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values.
committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Sports Center.
I'm Ed Bankin. It comes down to one game for the pennant with the Blue Jays and Mariners playing Game 7 of the ALCS tonight in Toronto. Blue Jays manager John Snyder says this is what it's all about when it comes to baseball.
Got to enjoy it, man. You know, this is what we sign up for. Whenever you can play for Game 7 to go to the World Series, it sounds kind of cool to say it, you know? But this is why we sacrifice everything. It's why players sacrifice everything.
The pitching matchup is set with George Kirby going to the mound for the Mariners while Shane Bieber starts for the Blue Jays. You can hear tonight's game on ESPN Radio with our coverage starting at 7:30 Eastern. To football on a Monday night doubleheader. First up, a key NFC clash between the Buccaneers and the Lions in Detroit on ABC and ESPN. That'll be followed at 10 Eastern with the Seahawks hosting the Texans. That game on ESPN. Houston has won 2 straight. Carolina quarterback Bryce Young suffered a high ankle sprain in his team's win over the Jets yesterday. He's expected to miss next Sunday's game against Buffalo. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel said Tua Tagovailoa will remain his starting quarterback despite a blowout loss yesterday. Meanwhile, Miami tight end Darren Waller suffered a pectoral strain in yesterday's game. He is now listed as week to week.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up on Tuesday, the Eagles and the Chiefs had huge wins this weekend, but did either one do enough to be number one on my power rankings? It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge, Denton Day, along in 30 minutes, talking national college football storylines. Look forward to that discussion. Try to get away from LSU a little bit, but we're going to talk Tigers in 15 minutes as they got some work to do shuffling the offensive line. Brian Kelly had some news about that today, so we'll talk about it in 15 minutes. But let's talk SEC football, what we saw over the weekend. I have great news for those of you who listen to our shows on Fridays. Great news. You can make a lot of money. All you have to do is listen to my selections against the spread every Friday at 1:30. No, what time do I do it? 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock every Friday and bet the other one because I am atrocious at picking games against the spread. 2-5 this week. I had South Carolina catching 5.5. They got beat by 1,000. I had Texas A&M covering 7.5. They did not cover. Couldn't stop Taylor Green. I had Georgia laying 7.5. That one did hit. They won by 8. So I finally was on the correct side of a half point. I had Sunbelt Billy and the Florida Gators minus 9.5. That did not hit. I had the Texas Longhorns covering against Kentucky. They had win by 13.5. They went to overtime. Did not, so that didn't hit. I had Tennessee plus 7.5. That did not hit. And I did have Missouri minus 1.5, and they did win in overtime on the Plains. So a 2-5 week for me. That brings the season-long total for my wagering to 26-40 on 50-50 propositions.
Oh, my Lord.
26-40.
That's spooky, man.
How would Jimmy like that?
Jimmy will stop calling you. He will stop calling you.
All right, so let's talk about what actually happened on the field as opposed to just looking at my poor wagers. Let's start with Florida because they fired their coach after they won a game. That was just a weird scene there in Gainesville. You've got the entire stadium chanting "Fire Billy, Fire Billy" while they're trying to win a game against Mississippi State, and then Napier's running off the field after a win, and he's getting screamed at by these moron Florida fans that have stuck around the team tunnel to yell at him. And then he goes to the podium after the game, and you could tell he knew that it was over. He'd obviously been told that it was over because he got questions about it and gave answers that he never said, yeah, we got to get that fixed or we're moving in the right. He just said, I think about the players. I think about going to work. I think like it was just he knew it was over. And for Mississippi State, that's a tough one to lose. You've got the ball late. You're got a chance to go kick a field goal to win the game. You're on the fringes of field goal range. I did not hate Jeff Levy deciding to throw the ball to try to get closer. You were not in a spot where you had a chip shot field goal. So to me, trying to get closer is good. You've got a senior quarterback that you've got to be able to trust. He's thrown for 320 yards in the game. Like, you've got to trust that he can get you there. And he throws an interception. Like, he just made a bad throw to an alignment, intercepted it. And when you're a bad team, and Mississippi State's a bad team, you find ways to lose game. I didn't think that Jeff Levy made some sort of awful decision to throw the ball there. I think trying to get closer than a 47-yard field goal makes sense to me, but Florida made the plays to get it done. The next game that actually comes up to me is not even Ole Miss and Georgia or Tennessee, Alabama, which I will get to in a second. Texas is so bad on offense, y'all. They're so bad. They did enough to beat Oklahoma 2 weeks ago when Oklahoma had a banged-up quarterback. But, like, you look at Arch Manning against Kentucky, 12 for 27 for 132 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. 12 out of 27. That's just brutal. And Texas scored 13 points in regulation of this game. How'd they run the ball against Kentucky? Well, they ran it 28 times for 47 yards. And that's not even a bunch of sack adjustment. Like, Arch Manning had -1 on the day. Wasn't like they lost like 35 yards on sacks. 28 carries for 47 yards. Just brutal for Texas to go up there. They get the win, but like, they're bad on offense. I watched that game, a lot of it on Saturday night. That was just brutal to watch. Now, let's go to the games that feature the top 15 teams. Georgia was impressive offensively. They hung 43 points on Ole Miss. I knew that they would try to run the ball a lot. That's why I picked them to cover. They did run the ball a lot. They ran for 221 yards and a touchdown. But Gunnar Stockton was really the story. He throws for 289. He ran for 59 more. He took off for a 22-yard touchdown that was really impressive to watch his athleticism there. Like, he was a guy that we looked at in August and thought, is he capable of taking Georgia where they're trying to go? That was impressive. Ole Miss's defense is not as good as it was last year, but Stockton just consistently hung points on them drive after drive after drive. That was impressive. For Ole Miss, like, they're good. Like, they got a good team. Going to Athens and hanging with Georgia the way that they did and having a 9-point lead the way that they did in the third quarter, like, you had to feel pretty good about that. And then Georgia closes with a 17-0 fourth quarter. But look, Ole Miss got a pretty good effort from Trinidad Chambliss. They scored 35 points. They kind of went up and down the field. They hit the big play in the first drive of the third quarter. Like, Ole Miss is good, and it'll be interesting to see if Lane Kiffin hangs there or if he looks at one of these open jobs. I'm not 100% sure you can't win at Ole Miss. The teams he has put on the field the last 2 years have been pretty damn good. Last year's was super talented. I cannot explain this Kentucky loss. And the Kentucky loss essentially cost them a chance at the playoffs. But Georgia, while they're not the machine they were 3 and 4 years ago, they are really good. And that environment was great on Saturday. And Ole Miss just went straight blow for blow with them. Like, just went blow for blow with them. And they came up one drive short. But like, that's impressive to me that Ole Miss is capable of doing that. And they just came up a little bit short. As far as Alabama and Tennessee goes, I thought Alabama controlled the game. I thought the pick six right before the half is the play that changes everything. But in just watching the flow of it, I thought that Alabama dictated the terms to Tennessee. It was just a terrible throw by Aguilar to throw that pick six right before the end of the half, and that's just a complete backbreaker. It's a 14-point swing, 14 points is a lot to overcome, especially on the road. They lose by 17. Thought Simpson was in control, did not throw an interception. Wasn't his gaudiest passing day, but he throws for 253 and 2 touchdowns. He's got some real weapons on the outside. Bernard and Hill and Williams are just really, really good. And then Cuevas gets involved as well at tight end, and he's a good piece for them. Tennessee, to me, is bumping its head on the ceiling with Heupel right now. Like you just don't feel like you're at the top of the sport. They're certainly better than they have been. And it's interesting because they went through that literally like 15 years of purgatory, right? 15 years. And they've gotten out of that. They're better than that. They're better than the Butch Jones teams. They're better than the Dooley teams. They're better than the 15 years post Fulmer. But they're not beating Georgia. They can't go to Tuscaloosa and win. They haven't won there in 20 years. And they went to Ohio State last year in the playoff and just got punked. So for Tennessee, it's got to be frustrating that they've certainly shown some improvements. And I'm not at all suggesting they need to move on from Heupel, but they're not winning the big games. And that's the next step for them. And did not come back on Saturday. Texas A&M goes up to Fayetteville. They absolutely cannot get a stop, but they didn't need it. They just kept scoring. And Marcel Reed, I think, deserves some candidacy for the Heisman Trophy. He threw for 280 and 3 touchdowns and also ran for 55 and a score. That's a terrible Arkansas defense, really, really bad defense, but that's a good Texas A&M offense. And when they're cooking, they're really, really good. And even without Le'Veon Moss, who I don't think is going to play this week either, obviously, they got Reuben Owens, and he's good. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in the game, and then they get Concepcion and Craver involved, and those guys are really athletic. And it's just a complete Texas A&M team. I'm terrified of Texas A&M right now. And yeah, giving up 42 points to Arkansas is not good, but they scored 45. So they did this in South Bend, scored enough to win. They did it in Fayetteville, scored enough to win. They won an ugly game against Auburn. It's just they're good in a league that's got a lot of parity across the first 14 teams. A&M's as good as anybody, I think. South Carolina is not. They scored 7 points. Shane Beamer was really frustrated. They are so hurt on the offensive line. I think they've lost 5 different offensive linemen, including some backups there. So they just got no chance to block and score. They lose 26-7. And then Hugh Freeze just cannot win a game. Cannot win a game. They're 0-4 in the league. And you look at their schedule and how that shakes out is they couldn't beat Missouri. They're at Arkansas, where you're going to have to score points to win that game. At Vanderbilt is going to be a very difficult game for them to win, and I don't think they're going to beat Alabama either, even though that game's in Auburn. So you're looking at right now, if you beat Kentucky and beat Mercer, that gets you to 5 wins. You're going to have to beat either Vanderbilt or Arkansas to get that 6th win to even get to a bowl game in year 3 for Hugh Freeze. Like, that's pretty stunning to me that's where Auburn is, but that's where they are, and they're just not getting out of neutral at all. So that's kind of a look around the Southeastern Conference after Saturday. A lot of great football to watch. It was a really exciting and compelling day. The Ole Miss-Georgia game was great. Texas A&M Arkansas was a thriller. And then Missouri and Auburn and Texas and Kentucky were overtime games. Mississippi State and Florida were a 2-point game. Like, everything was close, but LSU fans couldn't watch it with a smile on their face because LSU had gotten beaten first game against Vanderbilt. So tough. Let's talk LSU. Tigers going to be without Tyree Adams. Brian Kelly told you what that means. I vehemently disagree with it. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, they're experts when it comes to the technical aspects of insurance. I can promise you that is boring. It's boring. I did it for 7 years. The technical aspects of insurance are boring. They're also necessary. I've seen them save businesses. When you got a storm that blows through, or you get in a bad car accident, or you're hacked and have a cyber breach because somebody in your office clicked on something they shouldn't have clicked on, these can get really expensive. And if you don't have the right coverages in place, because the only thing you were concerned with on the front end was the premium, you're going to pay for it twice. And that's what the Howard Insurance Group makes sure their clients don't have to do. They understand premium is important. They always consider that. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts with dozens of carriers. They'll make sure you're placed at the right place with the right price, but they'll have the right coverage attached as well. If you don't know what your insurance program says, and your renewal's coming up here in January. Contact the Highland Insurance Group and let them audit your program. It could be a game changer. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at highlandig.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builders School.
Make your backyard.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, chugging through this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, as we mentioned there at the end of hour number 1. Vibes are not great. They're not great. They're not great, but we're going to chug through it, and we're going to make it happen. And by the end of the week, we'll be fired up for another football weekend. Right now, just a bit of a bummer in these parts. Part of the bummer, LSU's starting left tackle Tyree Adams left the game on Saturday, went to the locker room, came back out on crutches, did not return to the game. And Brian Kelly confirmed some reports from earlier today that Adams is expected to miss some time. He will not play in the game on Saturday against Texas A&M. That we figured. It looked like a high ankle sprain for a big man like that trying to play tackle on a high ankle sprain. It's just very, very difficult to do. So you're going to have to give him some time off. Potentially Texas A&M. Then you've got the bye week. Then Alabama. So maybe he can return for the Alabama game. But he's not going to play on Saturday. And so Brian Kelly was asked, well, what do you do at left tackle if Tyree Adams can't play? And he immediately said, well, DJ Chester will be out there, and we'll give Kern some reps this week. Look, and then he went further. Let me go into his reasoning. He said you didn't want to put a freshman out at left tackle in the SEC against a team in Texas A&M that's got some really good edge rushers. And he said that putting Josh Thompson at left tackle is just not the move. And I'm not a scout. I'm not a coach. I'm not an evaluator or an executive. I'm just a guy watching the game. But I just don't know that you can feel comfortable playing DJ Chester at left tackle for an entirety football game. I just don't. I mean, everybody saw the sack of Nussmeier on Saturday where the Vanderbilt defender just bull rushed and went right through and got the sack. It's a physical sport. It's a tough sport. Every offensive lineman has bad reps. But DJ Chester is an interior offensive lineman to me. He's a guy who has played center, has played some guard, and asked him to go out there and play tackle. To me, he just looks out of position. And so to me, I would play Josh Thompson at tackle and slide either Chester or Kern in at guard. Thompson played tackle at Northwestern. Apparently that's not something LSU is willing to do. I would then put Carius Kern out there. He played left tackle in fall camp. He's been here since the spring. He's big and physical, and yeah, he'll probably make some mistakes, but that's what I would do. We talk about Pro Football Focus a lot. Everybody has their thoughts on Pro Football Focus, but I tweeted this out yesterday, and it can't be this wrong. LSU's 2 tackles when Adams went out. So it's DJ Chester at left tackle and then Weston Davis at right tackle. Their pass blocking grades were 37.6 and 23.7. And no matter what you think about Pro Football Focus, those are eye-catching numbers. And it is impossible that those 2 guys would have played a really good football game and had those types of numbers. Like, it is a reflection of what you're getting out of your tackle play right now. And Garrett Nussmeier is getting blasted. He is limping around the entire game. And to me, for LSU not to have a better set of tackles when your left tackle goes down is really disappointing. Really disappointing. Because the level of play is just simply not good enough. You're not giving up a ton of sacks. Nussmeier does a good job of getting rid of the ball. LSU throws a ton of quick hitters and screens. But the offensive line play is clearly not good enough on the ground and certainly not good enough in pass protection as well. And I would put Carius Kern out there at left tackle if it were up to me. My second decision would be to move Josh Thompson from right guard to left tackle. None of these solutions are perfect, but that's what I would do. And it just doesn't appear that LSU is even giving that consideration. So you're going to have to go into this game on Saturday against Texas A&M with DJ Chester and Weston Davis at tackle, and you're going to have to help them a lot with running backs and tight ends to pass protect, because what you saw in the game on Saturday and what you have seen when those 2 guys have been out there has just been difficulty. And every week I put together the highest rated players on Pro Football Focus and the lowest rated players on Football Focus, and you're seeing a lot of LSU's tackles on the lowest grades. You just are. And it's getting your quarterback banged up. It's limiting what you can do offensively. It's putting you behind the sticks. That was a huge spot in the game on Saturday where you're trying to go down and get the game-tying touchdown, and you immediately go behind the chains with a 10-yard sack, and then you get a holding call from the right tackle. I mean, it's back-to-back plays. You don't pass block on the left tackle, then you get a holding call on the right tackle that negates a really good play on a first down. It's just not an acceptable level of play. And we talked all August about this team, and I would say, look, I think they got good running backs. I know they got talented wide receivers. I like the quarterback. Defensively, you got a ton of depth up front and proven commodities there. You've got linebackers that have made a lot of plays in purple and gold. I like what you're doing to restock the shelves at DBU. I think you've got safeties that are really capable. I don't know about the offensive line, and it could derail things. And your offensive line play at this point is just not very good. It's just not. And it's just very, very difficult to try to win games when your offensive line is getting pushed around. And Vanderbilt's better than they have been, and they've spent some money on that defense, and they're old, but they pushed you around a good bit. And you can't score from the 1-yard line. You can't get your short yardage offense together. You're getting penalties. You're giving up sacks at crucial times. It's just not good enough. And it's just difficult to say it any other way. I don't like coming here and directly speaking about the performance of college athletes, but you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, you watch the game, You see the results. It's just hard to go anywhere else but to suggest that they're struggling there. And you're not going to have Tyree Adams, who's your second best offensive lineman, probably in the game on Saturday, and maybe not for Alabama. And that's going to put you behind the 8 ball. And it's just difficult for Garrett Nussmeier to go back there with any sort of confidence to step up and to deliver the football from the pocket when he feels like that there's a good chance there's going to be a breakdown on the perimeter that gets to him. Like, it's difficult mentally to go back there and play football like that. And I think you're seeing some of that, and I think some of that has trickled into what LSU has done. Brian Kelly said today that he likes the direction of the offense, likes some of the things they're doing, and they did do some good things on Saturday, and they did do some good things against South Carolina. But ultimately, you scored in the low 20s in both of those games, and you're one of 2 teams in the country, in the Power 4, that has not cracked 24 points in a Power 5 game. It's you and the laughingstock in Chapel Hill. That's a reality TV show. That's it. Those are the only 2 teams in the country that haven't scored more than 24 points against a Power 5 team. There are some positive things that are happening, but ultimately the points are what matter. And 24 wasn't enough on Saturday. So we'll continue to monitor things with the injury reports on the offensive line as we move forward. But the news of the day, Brian Kelly did announce that Tyree Adams is going to miss the game and that DJ Chester is going to be the starting left tackle coming up on Saturday against a good Texas A&M defense. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's step aside. Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, talking all things college football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. What an amazing facility they've got there. Airline at PQ. I highly recommend you go by and see it. It feels like you're walking into a resort or a spa, not a showroom. It's comfortable. The ambiance is great. The scent smells wonderful. They've got these partitioned areas if you're bringing your car in for service and want to continue to get some work done. Got an incredible snack area set up, as well as this ridiculous coffee machine that'll make any kind of coffee that you could want. And the staff is welcoming. They're going to treat you like a guest, not like a customer. It's a great start to your experience. And what makes it even better is when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis. Most of you driving around right now have not ever been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Make that change when it's time for you to get into the market. When that time comes, go by and see them. Airline at PQ. Get behind the wheel. The GV80 is an incredible SUV. And once you get it, you'll get America's best warranty with it. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline where we find our guy Denton Day, Sirius XM's college football overtime. He's with us every Monday talking all things college football. Denton, how's your quarterback?
He's hurt, and that's not fun, So we are in wait-and-see mode for, second time this year about what Jaden's injury status is going to be. Never a good sign when they start showing replays, and you can see him grimacing in pain. So, not great.
I saw somebody tweet at you that wasn't the worst thing because Marcus Mariota's played pretty well, and you shut that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a pretty idiotic thing to say. And literally, as soon as they tweeted that, he threw a terrible pick six. And I was like, hey, thank you for this. This is just a validation. I didn't want the validation because I knew it was true, but now we have it.
All right, let's talk some college football. Back on Friday night, Miami drops one 24-21. Carson Beck just turning the football over. Cause for real concern on South Beach?
Definitely, because that wasn't even the Van Cristobal game. So that's still to come on the horizon.
Yeah.
That was just Carson Beck kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I think you can blame Cristobal a little bit because why are you throwing late in the game? You're clearly playing for overtime just based on the fact that you weren't pushing the ball down the field earlier. So the fact that they were throwing when they should have just been playing for overtime, you're the better team, get to overtime, just win the game in overtime, that was kind of embarrassing, I thought, from that entire program. Louisville's a good team, so I don't think we should be overlooking that, but that was a game that Miami should have won and just completely dropped the ball.
Let's talk Notre Dame USC. The Irish win 34-24 behind a ridiculous day by Jeremiah Love, who is quite good. Do you think Notre Dame is a legitimate playoff team?
Yeah, now that Jeremiah Love and just that running back duo is playing as well as they are, I think. So this was a big win for them. It was really the only opportunity they're going to have to get a legitimate quality win. So I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to stumble the rest of the way. They're going to be a 2-loss, no conference team that gets in. But I think they're good enough, and they clearly the AP has been telling us that for weeks. They've been kind of overranked, I thought, based off of what we've seen from them, especially after the first 2 losses. But I do think they're a playoff team.
Texas Tech drops a road game at Arizona State, 26-22. It's the first loss of the season for the Red Raiders. How do you feel about them right now?
So that's such a unique loss because their quarterback wasn't playing. They played well in the fourth quarter to get that to be a game, but then Arizona State played really well. I think it means terrible things for the Big 12. I don't know how much hope I had in the idea of them getting 2 teams in, but whatever hope there was of that is now completely out the door. They're going to be a one-bid league. I just think Texas Tech, you had asked me this, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. Can they beat the good teams? No, they can't. They're a fun team because they paid a lot of money, and we are just, we love everyone that's in the Big 12, right? Hey, you're new. Sure, this will be fun. But they're just there. They're not, I don't think they are talented or I don't think they execute. They're talented. They paid for a lot of talent. I don't think they execute at a high enough level to compete with the big boys. So they could still get in, but I think I look at them, and I think way less of them based off of what happened this weekend, even without their starting quarterback.
Tennessee and Alabama tied, wins 37-20. Big pick six before the end of the half. They really flipped things in that game in Tuscaloosa. Do you think Alabama's national championship good?
Yeah, I do. I think defensively they're getting better, and this game was a showcase because Tennessee's offense is high-powered. They can put up a lot of points, and you held them to not a lot of points. So I think defensively they're getting better, and then offensively I've been really impressed with them. I've told you this for weeks now. I've been really impressed with them since Ty Simpson kind of got into a groove a little bit. So in a year where I don't feel like there's an abundance of national championship contenders, I do feel like Alabama's one of the few.
Are either Ole Miss or Georgia national championship contenders?
Georgia might be like a really, really on the outside, kind of wallflower middle school dance kind of national championship contender. I think Gunnar Stockton played way better than I thought he was going to. Now, Ole Miss's defense isn't spectacular, but I don't think Georgia punted, and that's really impressive. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. So I do think they're very much on the outside, but I do think they're a national championship contender.
A&M is winning games in weird ways. They won a slugfest with Auburn. They won a shootout with Notre Dame, another shootout with Arkansas on Saturday. Like, what do you make of the Aggies? They'll come to Tiger Stadium on Saturday night.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
They are so confusing because they should have blown Arkansas out, and they didn't. They have a habit, and it's a bad habit. They have a habit of playing to the competition and then just kind of out-talenting them at the very last second. They did it with Auburn and with Arkansas, as you mentioned. I don't know that you can get away with that when you play really good and really talented teams. I kind of like LSU this weekend. They're in a good spot because of what happened this weekend. So going into next weekend, I think I might buy in on the Tigers to potentially pull the upset.
We'll see. That would make me happy. Let's see. There's not a lot of happy people in the Plains of Auburn. They lose to Missouri in double overtime at home. They're now 0-4 in league play and are going to struggle to get bowl eligible here in year 3 under Hugh Freeze. What does that mean?
Hugh Freeze is a big Billy Napier fan right now because the Billy Napier firing, and really like the conversation with Mike Norvell, although he's not going to get got, but the conversation of all the big coaches getting fired, and even so, like the Brian Kelly frustrations that's going down by you guys, Hugh Freeze just hiding in the back because this was a guy that was brought in here to beat good teams and to get Auburn back to a level where they're competing in the SEC, and they are not. And this is now, year 3? And you're supposed to be, year 3, if anything, is the year where you're supposed to make a pretty significant jump. And they have not done that yet. So he's just kind of skating by because chaos is happening around him in the conference. And, we saw what happened when Brian Harsin, when it was his time to get out of here. The Auburn money is kind of weird at times. I don't think he's a great coach for Auburn. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great coach for Auburn. And eventually they're going to realize that we are paying a lot of money to a guy that is not getting the results that we need.
Clark Lee's getting the results that you need. Can Vanderbilt make the playoff?
Oh, yeah. You know what could end up being hilariously one of the most exciting games of the season? Tennessee-Vanderbilt to end the year with a winner getting into the playoff. Like, how crazy would that be? The world would be on Vanderbilt in that one because everybody loves the story, but they've earned it to this point. They're a really good football team. They do a lot of things really well. They have a quarterback that's a gamer, and it's always nice to have a gamer when you're playing that position, right? So I really like Vanderbilt. We'll see. October, we still got a few more weeks. November, you'll learn a lot about them. But I do think there's a real possibility of Vanderbilt getting in.
I don't know how much you watched of LSU and Vanderbilt on Saturday, but it is remarkable how efficient Vanderbilt looked at everything they were trying to do. None of it's flashy, but it just always happened. They just looked like they were in position and in control the entire game, which is stunning to me to watch an LSU team with that much talent just get big boyed. It was wild.
To borrow a phrase that a particular morning show host on your station uses, Vanderbilt is too gritty to be pretty.
Yep.
So they're not flashy in any way, shape, or form. But you're right. The things that they want to do, they do it at a really, really high level, and they basically say, "Hey, we dare you to stop it." And more often than not, at least this year, teams have not been able to stop it.
Let's talk about LSU then. What do you think?
Oh, God. What do you think? I mean, have you guys had like a therapy session today?
The vibes are terrible. It's awful down here. It's bad. It's toxic. If they could have found a way to beat Vanderbilt, you would have set up just an unbelievable Saturday night in Death Valley. Now everyone's just ticked. Like it's just a mad fan base.
I can't fathom going into this season with the expectations, because I thought Nussmeier was going to have a really strong season this year, and then just not being able to protect him. I feel like it's almost unfair to him. You can't protect the quarterback, and if you're losing in the trenches, particularly in this league, but really any league, if you're losing in the trenches, you're going to lose a lot of games. And I think that's where they're falling short massively this year. I don't love the wide receivers. I'd like to see a little bit more from them. It is kind of like weird also that C.J. Daniels is now having, somewhat successful year in Miami, so I know that doesn't feel good. But the inability to keep Garrett Nussmeier upright and have him not running for his life is almost impossible to overcome in a league as deep as the SEC.
He just limps around out there for 4 quarters, just getting hit, banged up, and grimacing and wincing, and it's just it's a tough scene back there, quarterback for LSU right now. So let's talk Florida. It was a weird week in Gainesville. They win the game and then fire the coach. What do you make of Billy Napier's run there, and what do you think is next?
I think they're going to go for Lane Kiffin. I don't think they're going to land Lane Kiffin. I'm not stunned that they fired him. I'm a little old school in that I feel like it's weird that you fire a guy after a win. I get it. You want to get your name out there, but everyone kind of knew you were going to be available at this point. Billy Napier, I liked him a lot when he was in Louisiana. So I don't know what it was in particular that just did not align with Florida, but I thought that was a home run hire when they made the hire. And to see it play out the way that it has been really, really unfortunate and really, really head-scratching. I know he didn't want to give up play calling, but I got to be honest, I don't really blame him. If you knew you were a sitting duck, lame duck head coach anyway, I would go out on my own sword. I'm not going to give play calling to somebody else and get fired at the hands of somebody else. And there was really no incentive for him to do that anyway, because that contract that they set him up with, he doesn't have that James Franklin bit where he has to go search for another job. He could literally just chill for a couple of years, and he's going to get paid all of that salary that they're going to end up owing him. So that's really confusing. I'm curious to see what happens next, because I'm curious to see, and I think we'll learn a lot about this, Hunt, how does everybody else view Florida as a program? I've heard good things about them in the last year and a half or so, at least in the media space, but what do coaches feel about that program? Because you'll really get a good understanding of that versus who is, or when you understand who is going to be in the works for that job. Because I don't think they're going to get Lane Kiffin. I think that's one of the reasons why old Jimmy Sexton was in there standing in the background of College Game Day.
And then James Franklin, what's next for him, you think?
Please, no more Game Day appearances. I mean,
I didn't watch that. I heard bad things.
It was like, the thing about him that's so frustrating is that he's kind of a likable dude, but the victim narrative about how you couldn't win a national championship when you had all the talent in the world. I mean, literally 3 months ago, this was their year because they're the most talented team that he's ever had, and yada, yada, yada. And then to sit up there and play victim, it was a disgrace. I don't think he goes to Florida. I think that should be, if anyone, I don't think anyone at Florida is clamoring for that, but if anyone is, they need to be thrown out of the room, because that's not going to work. I don't think that's a good fit for him. Maybe he ends up at like an Arkansas or like maybe Virginia Tech, something like that. He needs to rebuild his image a little bit and showcase that he can coach at a very, very high level, because the one thing with him at Penn State is he could never do it at a high level. And if you can't beat top 10 teams when you're only playing 2 of them a year, potentially 3 of them a year, what are you going to do when you're playing 6 of them a year in the SEC? So I don't know that he fits in the SEC.
We'll see. Certainly had some success at Vanderbilt before running off to Penn State. So that's interesting thing to look at as the coaching carousel starts to spin pretty wildly here, and will for the next 2 months. So, Denton, we appreciate some time, man. We'll talk next week.
Hunt, appreciate it as always.
Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, with us talking national college football storylines on Monday. We come back. We're a little bit early here, so we'll come back. I'll tell you a little bit about what I saw at Outback Stadium yesterday for some scrimmage, and we'll do Take It or Leave It. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, if you are concerned about the safety of an aging loved one because the bathroom could be a hazardous spot, David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets are happy to help you mitigate that risk. They can come in, put some non-slip floors in. They can put guardrails and slippery places. They can do a walk-in shower and tub. They can do a shower with benches in it. Those are all measures to mitigate against risk of slip and falls and hazardous situations in the bathroom. David and his team are happy to help you with that. They're happy to have that conversation with you. That's free. The consultation is free. Just chat, say, hey, well, this is what I'd like to do, and David will tell you what that looks like. And if you're looking for financing options, they have got them. 0% for up to 18 months if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, including great pictures of their great work and that free consultation at onebathandclosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, This is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Ben Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Things up here, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll start to move forward to LSU and Texas A&M tomorrow on the show. We'll have Colin Jeter step in. They got a Football Friday coming up at Lod Cook that we're looking forward to on Friday afternoon. We'll also talk to Glenn West, Sharif Ishak, our usual Tuesday suspects. So I'm looking forward to that show tomorrow and put this LSU Vanderbilt kind of in the rearview mirror and move forward to Texas A&M. I wanted to briefly talk about LSU baseball here before we play a little Take It or Leave It. I went out to the box yesterday. Just gorgeous weather. Great weather out at the box yesterday, and Tigers were scrimmaging. Got a chance to see William Schmidt on the mound for 2 innings, and I liked a lot of what I saw from William yesterday. Did not pitch in games over the summer. Did some work individually as opposed to going out with a team in summer ball. And fastball was like you remember it. 95, 97 for William Schmidt. Spun a couple of really good breaking balls through some that weren't so good. And he gave up some hard contact. Chris Stanfield hit a really hard double. And Mason Braun, the freshman from South Bend, Indiana, who's a good hitter, lefty. But I kind of thought as a line drive hitter, and he is, but wasn't on this day. He hit one over the bleachers in right field. Flew the bleachers next to the Intimidator, so that was an impressive blast. But Schmidt threw a lot of strike ones, which I loved. He did not walk anybody, which I loved. That was his biggest issue in SEC games. He was walking way too many people. And if he can clean that up, his stuff is good enough in the strike zone to get a lot of swings and misses. So I liked what I saw a little bit there from William Schmidt. Reagan Ricken is a big right-handed freshman. Got a chance to see. He was up to 97 miles an hour yesterday. He was big, physical, 6'5" kid that was a high school quarterback and is a really good athlete. Made a great play on a bunt, but he had some pop on that fastball yesterday for sure. I saw 3 home runs. I mentioned Mason Bronze. Zach York, transfer first baseman from Grand Canyon, hit a home run. He's listed at 295 pounds, and he looks it. But he got into one yesterday for a home run. He hit 32 of those at Grand Canyon. I also saw Daniel Harden from Catholic High School, junior college prospect that transferred in. He also hit a home run from the left side of the plate. So that was good to see from those 3 guys. As far as infield alignment, this is something I'm really paying attention to. You feel like, obviously, Milam's your shortstop, and the other 3 infield positions are up for grabs. Trent Caraway is playing third base a lot. He's the Oregon State transfer. I think that's an indication that he's probably the leader there. You're seeing Braden Simpson, the High Point transfer, who is a bat-first guy. He's playing a lot of first base, which was interesting to me. So that's a spot that you could see him playing. And then Seth Dardar, who's from the North Shore, went to the Ivy League, then went to Kansas State, hit a home run off Kate Anderson last year in the game against Kansas State that they played in Round Rock. No, not in Round Rock, next to Dallas. I was supposed to go, and I didn't because we were having Keller, and I can't think of the name of the town. It'll come to me here short. Frisco. There it is. Hit a home run off of Kate Anderson in Frisco. He's playing some second base right now. So that's where those 3 guys are playing the majority of the time after a week of fall ball. Curious to see where those guys shake out. But Caraway at third, Dardar at second, and Simpson at first right now for LSU. Also good to see Cade Aaron Beatty hit the ball very hard twice. That was great to see. He's got to up his offensive game and his defensive game to fill in for Luis Hernandez back behind the plate. I liked what I saw from Aaron Beatty last year at catcher. Hopefully he kind of takes a step forward this year. Saw some good defense, great diving play from Derek Curiel in center field. Chris Stanfield made a nice play going backwards in left field as well. So some good stuff from out of the box yesterday. Just a little bit of a nugget there at the end of the show. Wanted to toss your way. So now let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
I sat on the front porch yesterday in the rocking chair and just took down a nice cold Flight by Yingling. The sun was setting. It was a nice evening, and I very much enjoyed it. If you would like to do something similar to that on your front porch, make it a Flight by Yingling for your next beer. It is awesome, awesome stuff. It's light, 95 calories, all the flavor you're looking for in a beer as well. From America's oldest brewery, it's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, hon, let's kick this bad boy off. So, everybody's favorite coach, Dennis Allen, received the only game ball from the Saints versus Bears game.
Yep.
We already know his speech. You spoke about it. Basically, tap dance on the Saints' grave.
He did.
The question is Jordan a fraud now? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Thank you.
You're not a fraud, Jordan, but Dennis Allen is in your brain.
Yeah.
He's got you cooked.
Yeah.
He dominated your team yesterday.
Dominated.
His leadership has left the Saints where they are currently. He's really done a number on you. There's no doubt.
It's like I close my eyes and I just see him. I'm just losing my mind at this point. So no, thank you. I'm not fraudulent to say the least.
No,
so,
just owned.
I'm owned. I'm buried. So next one is, will Hugh Freeze be the next head coach fired? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. I'm gonna go Mark Stoops on that.
Oh, really?
I still
okay.
think he's. I thought it would be this weekend. I don't know what Kentucky has next, but yeah, I think Stoops. That relationship has been toxic since he took the A&M job and then came back. I think Freeze has got a chance to save his job late in the season.
If he beat Bama, I can see.
Certainly got to. Yeah, that would help for sure. But I think Stoops is next.
Well, where's Norvell filling any?
He's on the. I mean, you're going to have Penn State's open, Florida's open, Arkansas is open, and you're going to have Florida State open as well. And if Auburn comes open, that's a big time cycle.
Okay. So Texas Tech has banned throwing tortillas at home games. That's the little tradition they have. So
it is.
Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
Not because I have a huge problem with them throwing tortillas. I don't know that it's going to cause a lot of issues, although they're having some.
Yeah.
I just love tortillas, and I think you should eat them and not throw them on the football field. I have a long-standing take. It's reinforced every time I eat a meal. If you told me I had to eat every meal the rest of my life on a tortilla, I would be okay with it. I could do it.
I can get jiggy with that, yes.
I love tortillas. I love breakfast tacos.
Yes.
I love burritos.
Yes.
I love tortillas.
When I say Mexican food, I'm just a connoisseur regardless.
Yeah.
I can pretty much eat Mexican food every day of the week. So
it's the best.
We are hand to hand with that one.
So yeah, I mean, I would rather just. I mean, there have been times, I'm not proud of this. There are times where I put a tortilla in the microwave, just sprinkled some cheese on it, sit in there for like 12 seconds, and then just roll it up.
That's a real struggle meal. I ain't been, I gotta throw.
I wouldn't consider it a meal. It's just like, I'm kind of hungry. I have a tortilla. Let's go.
I gotta throw a little meat. I gotta have something.
But if I don't have any, I just roll it up in cheese roll up.
You're down bad if you got nothing. I just say, you don't got nothing to throw in the tortilla. You just down bad.
I love tortillas.
A little chicken or something on
quesadillas.
Yes, quesadillas.
Love it. I mean, I could eat every meal on it.
We're hand to hand. That's all for take it or leave it.
All right, presented by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of black beer. If you missed any of today's show, not very happy. Talked about LSU for the first 30 minutes of the show. Talked about the Saints. Got injuries. The Saints have 2 guys out for the year. LSU's without their left tackle. Everybody's losing games. It's not great, but if you want to go relive all that, you have the option, because we got Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube, and full shows at The Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here on this Monday. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. I'm sure he'll be in a great mood as well. Probably not. But we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, talking LSU A&M on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate